Hey everyone. Hey Gore Vidal. It is I, Damien, aka Sleepy Reader 666. And tonight I'm going to take a look at a fairly, not quite so recent acquisition right now, which is the Jack Kirby Absolute Fourth World Collection Volume 1. Because Gore Vidal, my good buddy, great guy on YouTube, we've conversed through typing for many years and chatted with each other via our videos in ways. He asked, he said he wanted to know what the quality of this Absolute Edition was like and what I thought about it. And I put that off for a while because I wasn't as thrilled by it as I thought I was going to be. So, I'll let you judge for yourselves. I'm going to flip through it in a few minutes. And as a bonus, I thought I would also take a look at another fairly new acquisition, the DC New Frontier 15th Anniversary Edition Absolute. 15th Anniversary, huh? Okay. I'm not sure how long ago I got this. Could have been 6 months, could have been 12 months. I'm not even sure. I already had the complete Kirby omnibus of the Fourth World. It's a monster of a book. It's very unwieldy. And I felt a little sad when they came out with an Absolute so soon afterwards. If I'd known about the Absolute, I would have probably waited. Although it's hard for me to wait. Kirby's one of my ultimate guys in comics. It means so much to me, but this is just really unwieldy, and I do have a lot of questions of whether this is the way to collect such material. So perhaps part of what Gore was wondering is the best way to collect the Fourth World. And I've had in the past a, quote, deluxe edition of the New Frontier, and the interesting thing about it is it's on matte paper, but it has horrible gutter loss, totally a glued binding. One of DC's cheapy jobs on their so-called deluxe editions with just a glued binding. And so I was always kind of a bit depressed by it. Although now that I think about it, I like this slightly matte-like paper on it. I'm now asking myself, was it always that faded color? Or did it actually fade since I bought it? I can't remember. So, that's kind of the alternative to these two. The Kirby stuff is also coming out in paperbacks, I believe. And then there are older hardbacks, which are on almost newsprint. So there's a lot of ways, plus buying the original issues, plus a lot of them have been collected back in the 80s in Baxter paper. Or at least maybe just the New Gods, and maybe not the rest of them. But so I will turn around the camera and take a look at these things and let you judge for yourself. Again, big salute to Gore, and hope to chat in person someday. Bye-bye. Or not bye-bye. See you in a second. So here's the Kirby Fourth World, Part 1. Did it say Part 1 on it? I believe it's just Part 1. Kirby Fourth World Absolute Part 1 in its case, in its slip case. You slip it out. There's Darkseid's face there. Jack Kirby Absolute Fourth World. And so you got Darkseid in the middle on one side and Jack Kirby in the middle on the other. To me, this is already kind of a hard to look at cover. Let's get this, go lower now. But I suppose it's a matter of taste. And this slipcover is okay. It doesn't look at all like a Kirby design. That doesn't look like a Kirby self-portrait. Someone else drew that. So it's okay, but it doesn't evoke Kirby a whole lot to me. Now here, of course, they're drawing on a lot of Kirby images and melding them together. but it just seems a bit strange. And then here is where, design-wise, this just seems like a terrible mess to me. I'm not sure what they were thinking. Someone maybe was just thinking, hey, comic books, bright colors, and Kirby's just like the brightest and biggest. So I'm trying to even make out, did they kind of layer different Kirby drawings on top of each other, plus throw some blue and some red and some yellow over there? And they continue that motif there. This is okay. Is that the same as... It's not the same image as the back cover, is it? I don't think so, no. But it resembles that back cover image. Excuse me. I kind of like that it looks more like pencils there. But. And then this, the way they did that, kind of going back to this motif, it seems kind of unreadable to me. Yeah, volume 1 there, it finally says. And I'm getting really picky. I'm not even that big a fan of the kind of font they've used here and the way they've laid this out. And the print on this introduction seems crazy small. I guess just so they could fit it all on one page. Maybe it's a forward and then the forward is by Tom King and the introduction is by Grant Morrison. I have to say I read these the Grant Morrison one actually goes on for 2 pages. I read these when I first got the book, and I can't remember what they say at the moment. I'm sorry about that. And then we get the stories themselves. Now, I don't know if this is common in omnibuses, but there's something, it's a sewn binding, but there's something glued here. And so at first, in the early parts of the book, when you flip it open, you do get gutter loss because of, it can't spread out over there. But if you get further into the book, the binding there starts kicking in, and it becomes less and less of a problem the further you get into the book. I'm not sure if that problem comes back when you get to the other end, maybe a little bit. There's some of the extras at the end. Trying to find a double page spread or something that would really emphasize the problem. There we go. Yeah, so it is a problem on either end because there's some extra glue there or something. So that's not a deal breaker. I guess none of this is a deal breaker. It's just not as good as I hoped Absolute Edition would be. I don't know. It even feels like it's too small of a margin on that side, but I'm just starting to get really picky. Now, as I've mentioned, I already have the omnibus. That omnibus is too thick, and I'm feeling this in a way is too thick for an Absolute, and maybe that would have solved some of the binding problems. Maybe they wouldn't have needed that extra glue to reinforce it or something. If it was smaller, and what I now think as I've thought about this, like they've been packaging all the Fourth World together, I think it would be better to have an Absolute Jimmy Olsen, an Absolute Forever People, an Absolute New Gods, and an Absolute Mr. Miracle. And in my humble opinion, the New Gods and Mr. Miracle are the two kind of central Fourth World comics where the really important stuff happens. And those other two series, particularly Jimmy Olsen, are quite peripheral. I like them and I would want Absolutes for all of them, but I suppose some people would be happy with just the New Gods Absolute, or happy with just the New Gods and Mr. Miracle. And I wonder how many people who want to read this famous New Gods or famous Fourth World saga start reading it and get bogged down in all this Jimmy Olsen stuff, and maybe don't get the big picture as well as they could quickly into the story and lose interest. I don't know. It's possible. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it's like coming to this for the first time, since I, as a kid, came to it in the middle of things. I mean, I do think sketchy as they are in some ways, or kind of like a collage and tapestry, I do think this is one of the greatest achievements in sort of mainstream American comics, until we get to Watchmen or something like that. And I think that once Mike Royer came on, this is maybe some of the best Jack Kirby. It's, to me, kind of peak Jack Kirby art. So it's definitely something well worth having. But whether this edition is really the best way to go, I don't know. It could be better. Obviously the real content of it is brilliant. And I just recommend maybe diving in and starting with the first issue of New Gods and not worrying about Jimmy Olsen so much, and then maybe going back and reading Jimmy Olsen later if you become fascinated with it. I could be wrong about what the best reading order is. So that's the main thing here. Let's look at the extras at the end. We've got these. It must have been from some encyclopedia of DC Comics. We've got these pages that are clearly reproduced from somewhere else. Seem to mostly have late in his life Jack Kirby art, so I'm not sure if he did new stuff for these, or I should have researched this, I suppose. But this is just a quickie video. It's nice. I like when they include the raw pencils. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about peak Jack Kirby art. I just think at this period, that's an amazing splash page, that he was just on fire, these kinds of things. He was putting so much into this work, from a sort of high level conceptual basis to all the intricacies of the tapestry and plot to the art itself. He just was not stinting. So, and it's, one of the great tragedies that he didn't get to finish it or continue with it longer. I have not read this afterword. Here's the afterword by Mark Evanier. I've read Mark Evanier write about Jack Kirby so many times, I wonder if there's anything new he has to say here, but I'll probably eventually read it. And another afterword by Walt Simonson. I'll definitely read that. So yeah, you can see that glued aspect there. So, it's a matter of taste. I think it's a little better to get it this way, I suppose, than having to have it all in the one volume of the omnibus. But, it's a matter of economics, too. Okay, and then from a purely aesthetic point of view, another omnibus I'm super looking forward to rereading. Rereading the story in the absolute form is Darwin Cook's The New Frontier. Also comes in a nice slipcase. Seems like, I think that's a Darwin Cook painting, but maybe someone took his art and painted it. I don't know, I haven't looked at the credits very closely. And then on the inside of the book, you get a sort of pure Darwin Cook drawings here. The binding is very good. Somehow the binding seems to work even better than in the Jack Kirby book. Probably because I don't think it's got that glue on it. Nice end papers. Very Jack Kirby looking, to tell you the truth, that big picture. And this is very nice. I think does this come from one of the original covers? I'm not sure. So yeah, you don't have that feeling of it, a big bump there created by some glue. Got the introduction and the prologue. And while Darwin Cook evokes various styles, including a lot of Jack Kirby, he feels like an original, just when you could take all the storytelling and art together. And like Jack Kirby, he excelled at being the writer and the artist. Now, unlike Jack Kirby, he was not a creator of original ideas, but like many of the better works in comics, he's a reworker of the past. And maybe the reason why this relatively modern comic appeals to guys like me is because it evokes the past so much. A kind of better version of the past, comics than actually existed, perhaps. That, again, depends on your tastes and what that's just a judgment. That's my instinctual version. This is kind of an idealized version of what I like to think old comics might have been like. And there's lots of extras here, which is enjoyable to see. So very soon I will be rereading this, and there's a very good chance that Matt and I will be doing an episode of Never Stay Dead, covering the main story here. I think there's some extra stories, but I don't think we'll try to cover all of that. But two great artists, one great design set of design work for an absolute, and one a little less so, in my opinion. So I hope this is helpful to anyone who's interested, and especially to my good friend Gore Vidal. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.